we've evolved over many evolutions, this fantastic frame that actually has 2 legs and swinging arms, and it can walk. It's capable of walking so much and using our energy so efficiently.
And can you trust that you won't blow away in the wind?
Okay, so we woke this morning. So basically the canoe crew are off early morning. Man, they were noisy buggers. Honestly, this is a second or third canoeist party that we've met on the locks, and they're okay, but they're not the best tourists. They're all a bit inexperienced. They rock up, they make a lot of noise. I mean, Michelle and I were camped here before they arrived. They peppered all around us, so they were basically camped all around us, and they made a lot of noise all last night. And they kept walking right next to our tent. So our tent's there. Every time they're walking between our tent and the trees, the leader, the guy who's actually running the tour, camped right next to us. I mean, just about here. And he was noisy last night. I don't know what he was sleeping on. It sounded like about 600 bags of crisps. But all night long, he was making a lot of noise all through the night. And he was up again at 6 o'clock this morning doing the same. Yeah. You know, there's another couple that stopped. They camped just the other side of those trees. And they're probably still asleep now. But because of our crew, and this happened the other night as well, when we had a bunch of canoeists arrive. They're just noisy. And then they're all sort of, you know, discussing how they're all going to go to the toilet out in the woods. And I'm thinking, oh my Lord, none of them are familiar with camping. Anyway, they were mostly quite a nice crew, but they descend like a swarm of locusts on sites. You know, you sit here thinking, oh, look at this. We've got this whole evening, this beautiful loch side view. We're in between some nice trees. I mean, they've camped on slopes like this, so none of them slept well. And I said to them last night, you can't pitch on those slopes. Oh, we just pitched. And they're pitching on slopes like this, so that you could hear them grumbling. One of them was laying on a log. The other ones, you know, couldn't sleep because they were rolling to the side. And you're thinking, why did you camp here? You could have actually this is us. This is where the leader camped. To be honest, this whole area around the campfire here, though it's a bit gravelly, they could have all camped here, nice and close together. Yeah, I think, and there are hundreds and hundreds of these canoe groups. At first I thought, oh, they're quite charming, but actually now I just think they're just a scourge. They come along and just make a lot of noise and probably leave a lot of mess behind. Anyway, that's our morning. How are you this morning, Shell?
Good morning. I'm a bit tired.
Good. You sleep well though?
Not really.
No? And so begins another weary day of walking. We're going to try and walk to Fort William, but we're not going to stop there other than to get supplies. And we're trying today, if we can, to get on to the West Highland Way. I mean, technically Fort William was our rest spot, but we feel because we stopped in the rain at Loch Laggan that we should really be doing... Michelle needs the bag.
Looking for it, thinking it's lost.
It tells me off, you see. That we should motor on to the West Highland Way and camp somewhere on there tonight. It's a shame because a friend of ours is in, a guy we met on the trail, Matthew, he's in Fort William, but it seems wrong to us to spend money staying in a hotel in Fort William when we feel quite rested. We're leaving this spot because the midges are terrible this morning. First time we've really had problems with midges. So Michelle's going to pin the solar panel on the front of me. So now we just mount Michelle's bag up. We always help each other, and then we're off on our walk. And unlike the canoeists who left sweet wrappers, I have to say, guys, not good. Even more sweet wrappers there, which I suspect are from them. Unlike the canoeists, Michelle and I have left nothing behind as always. Not a diddly squat. Is that right? Not a diddly squat, Michelle?
Not a diddly squat.
So we're trying to calculate how our walk will progress now. We're predicted maybe 2 days of mild weather, maybe 3 at best. So if we start the West Highland Way as quickly as we can, we might be able to get the Highland section done. I think there's a section where you're at least 1, maybe 2 nights in the higher lands, the sort of 400 meters, 500 meters plus. So if we can get those done in the milder weather, that's why we don't want to waste too much time in Fort William. That way we'll be back down the lower lands towards Glasgow if the weather turns. And we're very lucky that we have some friends in Glasgow, some other fellow YouTubers who I think have offered us to come and stay and have a rest day with them. So that would be really nice if that comes to fruition.
So we're going to be trying to be proper hikers and work out how many days of food we need between where the shops are, and actually get the kilometres done with the weather. So we're actually planning food, weather. We don't do that. we're getting the idea, because we've had a few times where we've been caught out. We're getting the idea. So we're really calculating now. It's an equation of days divided by smash over miles walked. Plus emergencies.
Plus a little bit of emergency. So another packet of smash.
Another packet of smash.
So the Clunes. We're out of the Clunes. Which way?
This way. See the blue?
Ah, yeah, down. I'm looking at the top signs. I'm not seeing the bottom signs. The little blue sign says this way. Well, I could say it out loud. It's mentally adapting to have a walk like this, because I don't know how to express it, Michelle, but it's knowing that you can walk many tens of kilometres when normally people don't walk a kilometre. You know, they barely walk anywhere of any subsequent, no, what's the word I'm looking for? Significance. They don't walk of any kilometres of significance in any day. You know, walk into their car, sitting in the car, driving to work, whatever they do. So what I was saying, really, and a little bit rambling to Michelle really, is that you can walk 20 to 30 kilometres in a day reasonably effortlessly. And I don't mean you can, but I mean you're capable of it quite comfortably. Probably quite a bit more without a pack on, I guess. And yet we do so little walking. And this has really come about only in the last, probably in the last century, the last 100 years. The car has only really been around to the masses since the early part of the last century. So people walked everywhere. Nowadays, so little walking is done. But our bodies are clearly designed to walk. They're capable of walking mile upon mile upon mile with no ill effects whatsoever. No ill effects. No sore feet. Sure, if you take it up to 20, 30 miles, you might start getting aches and pains. But generally, I don't think anyone is going to suffer any badness from walking 10 miles a day. And yes, you might say, oh, it would kill me, I'm too old. Yeah, kill me, I'm too overweight. Of course it would, because you haven't done 10 miles a day for the last year. But we don't use our bodies properly. We've evolved over many evolutions, this fantastic frame that actually has 2 legs and swinging arms, and it can walk. It's capable of walking so much and using our energy so efficiently, and yet we don't, most of us. There's some of you might, but most of us don't. And going to the gym and just doing 20 minutes jogging on a treadmill is not the solution. I did that for many years in Hong Kong. Went to the gym in the morning, ran 20 minutes plus sometimes every day, religiously for months, for years even. And then I went running with a friend of mine on the main streets, and I did about maybe 300 meters, and I was exhausted. I couldn't believe the difference between walking or running on proper pavements than going on a treadmill. So don't think you can kid yourself by doing this stuff in the gym. Our bodies are made for walking. As the song goes, our boots are made for walking. And somehow, through a sort of missing link of evolution, we've stopped using it for what it's supposed to be used for. So what will happen with Darwin's effect? Will we just sort of, our legs just wear down to a little sort of something to get in and out of a car? Who knows? Thoughts?
You've put the solar panel on the front and the sun's over there.
Never going to win in Scotland. No, I was just saying that even 100 years ago, 1920, the average person, most people to be honest, would have had to walk to get every loaf of bread they ate, every bottle of milk that they drank. You know, we would have walked for every single item we ever consumed. We would have walked to get those items. And now, sorry, the midgie's biting my back. And now, some people don't walk from one week to the next, other than, you know, from the car to the front door or what have you. Get out and walk. I'm like an ex-preaching smoker, you know. I'm a born-again hiker, walker.
Well, we always used to say that we walked a lot, you know, we visit a city and we'd walk everywhere. But really, we never did that many Ks in a day, maybe 10 max, and we'd always be quite tired at the end of it, wouldn't we? So this is quite a different sort of walking, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, that's a good point, Michelle. Even we consider ourselves big walkers because we've been travelling for 5 years. But we walked a lot every day. We went out for a walk around the towns. But we weren't doing this sort of walking. Though it was better than nothing. Your bodies are far more capable than you might think they are. Arsehole. Complete and utter arsehole. Ken Oliver is the name of his company. No respect at all for walkers.
Stayed on our side of the road.
Stayed on our side of the road, drove at us like he was trying to hit us. And I tell you what, he goes in our end-to-end arsehole list. I'm going to grumble possibly one more time on the Glen Way, the Great Glen Way. It's not great. This road, well, we've almost been again. Look at this house here. Look at the wealth. The wealth. But this road, which is the last stretch, the last 20 kilometres into Fort William, is shared by traffic, and traffic that doesn't respect walkers. There's too much of the Glen Way that is a bit of an afterthought, and I think it's a little bit rich to call it the Great Glen Way. It's just the Glen Way. It's a way. There's nothing great about it. Sure, the views are beautiful. You can park up anywhere along these locks and get some beautiful views. As for walking, this is the Glen Way. It's a way of getting from Inverness to Fort William, and I say there's nothing that great about it. other than the fact that the lock sides are gorgeous. But if you want a car to come to you right now, as a car did just a moment ago, a guy in a ute that sped up as he came towards us and just went past with the most disrespect he could. And for that to happen 3 or 4 times on this stretch, it wears a little thin. It goes to show that the authorities, the government, the council, people with all the money, all the Christmas money, all the white papers and all the holiday homes all over the world don't really care about making these places safe and enjoyable for hikers. And now we've got to share it with a lorry. What are we supposed to do? There's no verge other than this ditch down here. There's no verge. You see what I mean?
They've just joined up a few pathways with a bit of road.
They have. They've joined up a few pathways, a few ill-conceived pathways, and somebody has marketed it like their NC 500 as the Great Glen Way. It's a nice walk, but there's nothing great about it. I'm sorry. There's nothing great because there's areas that are still too dangerous to walk on, and there are just no facilities, particularly on the northern half. Nowhere to sit, nowhere to get out of the rain, nowhere to sort of sit with other walkers and chat, maybe a nice little hut or a sheltered area. No regular picnic bench stops so you can sit down off of the grass. No sufficient signposting, and way too many sections that are just an afterthought. Do you agree, Michelle?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is very pretty, but
this is very beautiful. But this is just somebody's. This is somebody's housing.
Yeah.
This is a wealthy family's housing estate. And consequently, you know, the sort of people that are driving up and down this road, they've got attitude, and they have a self-entitlement that says, you know, get off of our road. They shouldn't be doing that because this is the Glen Way.
excuse me, this is the Great Glen Way.
No, it's not the Great Glen Way. I've already decided that, Michelle. It's the Glen Way, and it is a hiking and cycling path, an established one by the government up here, and therefore we have every right to be on this road, and they have a secondary right to be on this road. My thoughts. Last groan about the Glen Way that I'm going to have, because we'll be in Fort William within the next few hours. Why not just a pathway for cyclists and hikers? This is a two-way, moderately busy street. It's not safe. It's not safe for people to walk on. And one day, somebody will get killed on these roads, and there'll all be apologetic or an inquiry, and actually they'll spend more money doing an inquiry. The government will spend more money on bureaucrats trying to find out what went wrong than they could have done if they just spent making this road safe. So this concrete ramp here is a World War II landing craft assault. So they would have had a gun on here. So this was the training grounds during the war. Was it for the Marines, Michelle?
It was for Army and Royal Marine Commandos.
So the Marines and the Commandos trained in this area around the locks during the Second World War, 40-45, and they actually closed a lot of this section of the Highlands off. There he is again.
Tree surgeon.
Tree surgeon. Ken Oliver, key surgeon, the guy that tried to run us over on the first passing. Yeah, so a lot of this this area around the locks here was a training ground for the Royal Marines and the
Commandos.
Where are you heading? G'day. Inverness. Enjoy. Watch out for the cars. It seems the whole walk, we might as well be back on the A9. It seems like the whole walk is just standing aside for cars.
We've got to stand aside for both ways on this road though.
Yeah, coming to us, coming away. Shame on you, Highland Council, whoever's responsible.
Look, there's all this land. That's a nice
Look
park.
at the size of the land around us. A lot of people say, oh, well, why should they? Well, because if you want to call it the Great Glen Way...
This is one of the most popular walking routes in Scotland, apparently.
Possibly the most popular walking route in Scotland. If you want to call it the Great Glen Way, then at least try to make it a little bit great. You can't just take a lock or a mountain and say, oh, it's the Great Glen Way because it's got that. Because that was here. You didn't do that. You did this. The people that named it, this is the own, they didn't do any of that. Nature did that. You did this. If you want it to be great, that's the bit you're responsible for. So sort it out. Michelle's just said it again, but I'm going to repeat one more time. There are almost no facilities from Inverness down here. I don't think there was one that I can remember sheltered area. You know, just a nice big sheltered gazebo or shelter from the wind for hikers to walk. Not one. I'm not saying there's not enough, and I think there should be dozens of them. There were very few seating areas. Very few picnic seating areas. See, they were nice and slowed down. Here comes another one, another landy. Almost, you could count on this hand from all the way down to Inverness. Good morning, how are you?
Good, thank you. And you?
Good. You could count on this hand all the way from Inverness to Fort William how many picnic benches there were to sit at. And a lot of older people don't particularly want to sit always on the ground or on a rock. Like I say, this, don't thank them for this. Nobody in government gave you this. If you've got anything you need to thank your local government for doing, it's for giving you two-way traffic on a road like this, on a stretch that's called the Great Glen Way cycle and footpath. It's actually it's the 78 cycle route as well. Yep. What's the other thing? No sheltered areas. In one of the rainiest. Excuse me, got very few places to get water. Almost no places to get water. No sheltered areas in one of the most rainiest climates on the planet. So no seats, no picnic areas, no rest areas, very few wild camping areas, to be frank. You know, if the numbers were, if this was a great walk and the numbers were higher, you'd be fighting for camping spots.
And they say, you know, you can drink the spring water, which you can, which is fine, but they're not always easy to get to. So a lot of people don't want to be sort of scrambling over rocks and down waterfalls to get the running water. So there should be water supplies.
And waste bins.
Yes.
You know, there are, in the handful of places where you can stop, they rarely provide any waste paper bins. And then they all moan, and I do also, because I don't think you should leave anything behind. You can carry it out. But if you don't provide places for the average numpty to put their rubbish, they will leave it. So just, you know, if there's a little road going down to the loch and an area where people can sit, and I don't mean benches because there are none, at least up on the road, but a waste paper bin. I said it was my last moan, but it probably won't be. From Fort Augusta also to Fort William, there are no shops. And technically it's a 3-day hike for a lot of people. They call this one of the most hiker-friendly routes, but if you're hiking, you need to make it clear that there's nowhere to buy food on such a long stretch, because it can be quite dangerous if you arrive sort of 2 days into your hike and you realise when you get to the lock area that there's no shops or anywhere to buy food from. Can leave you in a very awkward position. Point of fact, we've been walking now for an hour and 20 minutes since our overnight camp, and there hasn't been a single place to stop just to sort of sit down. We thought we might just walk a little bit because there were a lot of midges by the lock. We thought we might find somewhere just to sit and have a late breakfast, but you could be walking for 2 or 3 hours before you find anything decent, because you cannot sit on these verges and these passing places, and that the ground is too uneven to sit and have a little picnic. But with some good planning, there could be a little set of steps down here, a little picnic area just out here. I said that was going to be my last moan, but I can find so much to complain about this route.
That's now, what I've said. We set ourselves a 2-hour timer from when we set off, because we must eat within that 2 hours. Otherwise, we'll keep going and going and we'll feel fine. But then suddenly you get so hungry and so out of energy. So 2 hours, nearly there.
Yeah. Hour and 20, but we haven't seen a spot. Now, what's good about the Glen Way is some of the most beautiful lock views. Some reasonably flat walking in parts, mostly hilly though. Oh, what's good?
We met some wonderful people.
The people, it's always the people.
Always the people.
The drive. I never thought we were going to be on roads again, unfortunately. And as soon as we got on the roads, the idiots started rocking up. But on the actual walk itself, north of here, there have been very few roads, some little stretches, but we've met great people, and I'm talking about other walkers.
Other cyclists.
Other cyclists. So yeah, I still recommend you come and do the Glen Way. I think we should get a petition together to have them remove the name Great out of the title until they sort it out, because I don't think they deserve it. I think it should be renamed the Glen Way, pending they make the whole route really hiker friendly. And a lot needs to be invested, but like I say, it won't be a fraction of what they'll spend if someone gets killed on this road doing an investigation into it. So get your fingers out, you useless politicians, local politicians. Stop spending money on your Christmas parties and your ponds and your holidays abroad, and put some of those investments back into the people that pay your wages. For new recruits marching on the Aknakari from Speenbridge to the start of their commander training at Gaelochy Bridge was where they met up with the pipe bands. So as the troops got off the train at Speenbridge station, one soldier asked, where's the transport? The NCO replies, 7 miles, no transport. There was a lot of moaning and groaning as they formed up and marched off, flanked by instructors, and the pipers played a tune that would have made the dead get up and march, which in this case was almost essential. So this is, I believe, the original bridge. We will have marched with our packs many more than 7 miles today, but I know how the lads would have felt. Well, do I? So this is a pretty old lock. This whole area was commandeered for commando training, Marines and commando training during the Second World War. So it was I think it was a no-go area for many civilians. Now there is another site somewhere nearby that somebody said we could go off and see, but I'm not 100% sure where it is. So bottom lock. Any information, British Waterways information. So that's our Gairlochie experience. It's a lovely place to sit and have a late breakfast, very late breakfast for Michelle and I, and then we have some walking to do, more walking to do. You've lost someone? Yeah. Hello. G'day. What a beautiful day on the walk into Fort William. Absolutely gorgeous. A little bit cloudy, it's still a bit foreboding. Could easily turn to rain, but for the time being, it's been a very nice walking day. Welcome to Moy Bridge.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? Sorry, just get a little bit of B-roll footage. How was your day? All right?
Yeah, it's gorgeous, that is.
Better since the day before last. So this is the swing bridge at Moy Loch. Loch, not Loch. I think they must be doing a bit of painting. You can see the end ones look like they've been painted. So the lock keeper's doing a bit of maintenance. You see, taking back a little bit what I said about the Glen Way, now we're back on the loch side. It's absolutely beautiful again. And we're not sharing the road with traffic, maybe the odd car, but for maintenance. And this is about the third picnic bench we've seen on this stretch. So we're currently near Moy Swing Bridge, probably about 5 miles, maybe 6 miles outside of Fort William. But it often does seem, there's a little robin redbreast again. It so often does seem that the closer you get to the towns, they do maintain things a little bit better because it's for people that just come out on a day trip. So this is the end of a very hard day walking again. We're both aching, our feet are sore. So it's possibly that this is the start of Neptune's staircase. But we're too tired and too hungry to check it out in reality. So we're just going to try and find a shop, get some food. Yep, this is definitely the start of what they call Neptune's staircase. A line of locks that go down. I'll check the information for you. The Harry Potter Express is coming.